All right, so to kind of continue from what we experienced yesterday in the realm of balance. So I hope everybody felt good yesterday and had, what I would love for you to pay attention to after like a sequential 2 days in a row of balance work is to notice a sense of grounding. I don't know if you've ever had this feeling, like I've experienced this in the woods before, hiking, where traversing something that's a little scary, whether there's a big drop on the side or a log over water or something like that, where you're in a precarious moment. Or it could just be, like walking on an uneven sidewalk. Um, that if for me, if I pause and just root, like if I just remember that the ground's got me and that gravity's got me, there's this settling down into the earth. I suddenly feel my center of gravity lower. I get heavier, but not in a way of like heavier where I can't move, but just more grounded, the feeling of being grounded. So I think we all know that feeling of feeling grounded. Um, and that's what I'm hoping that you're going to feel today after doing the work yesterday, and then we'll do more of it today. Look for that in your practice. Like look for those moments when you feel the essence of grounding and kind of tuck it away into your little pocket so that when you need it, whether it's emotional grounding you need or physical grounding that you need, that it's just yet another one of those little tools that you can pull out of your yoga toolbox when and if you need it. Because we all need grounding like every day, right? But there's moments when we really need it more than others. Okay, so let's sit up straight and tall and take a moment to drop your awareness into your body. Maybe you've had a busy morning. Maybe you haven't moved much yet this morning. I'm not sure what your body's feeling like, but whatever is happening, see if you can allow yourself to just ground into the pelvis and let your tap roots get a little deeper, a little broader. Maybe you like the visualization of one tap root. Maybe you like the visualization of like tree roots, where you're spreading out a little bit more. So whatever helps you get into that feeling of groundedness. And then check in and make sure that the way you're sitting is giving you spaciousness in your spine. We can often just find just the right sweet spot in our pelvis, just the right sweet spot of how our legs are settling for us to drop in a place where there's now freedom. So notice, try to align yourself in a way that you have space and freedom in your spine, all the way up to your crown. So sometimes it takes a little maneuvering through your curves to just feel that freedom. When we're aligned, we feel more free. And once you have that place in your spine, in your body, take yourself into your breath. And just like yesterday, let's see if we can have that equal parts breath where we're recognizing the balance between the inhale and the exhale, cultivating that. What comes up must go down, what goes out must come in. Think of the movement of your rib cage. As much as it expands outward, it has to recoil that same amount. Think of it as what goes in must come out, where whatever we breathe in, we also let go of the full amount of that breath. So we're not retaining part of our exhale. I mean, we always retain a little bit of our exhale, but try not to retain more of your exhale than the baseline of need. Relax your shoulders, relax your face. And once again, see if you can feel gravity be like a comfort on you instead of something that weighs you down and makes you slump. See if it can be something that just helps support you. And then when you're ready, bring your hands to your heart. Let's offer an intention here. And release your hands. All right, so let's find our way to our back and see what it feels like to make all those points of contact. So just a reminder from some of the themes of yesterday's class that we want to yield. We want to know this quality of yielding. So wherever you're touching the ground, see if you can drop down in. There's a lot of contact right now. So a lot of opportunity to feel your body yield. And then, one of the other concepts that we worked with yesterday was kind of mapping ourselves without our eyes. So see if you can, with your eyes closed, just sense your body in space. Feel where you're touching. Maybe start at your head and work your way down and scan and notice all the little tiny places where your body is touching the ground. And also where your body's not touching the ground. We are not flat. We have lots of curves in our body. So let's just notice all those peaks and valleys in our back body where we find light contact, firm contact, no contact with the ground. And you also might notice that you're really not very symmetrical, even though from a broad perspective, maybe if you take the bird's eye view in your sensation, you have, your arms are both resting down, your legs are both resting down. But when you get into the more subtle aspects of feeling, you might notice that your arms feel quite different on the ground, that your legs feel quite different from each other on the ground. So just paying attention. There's no need to correct anything, change anything, adjust. Just let yourself be. And then we'll stretch our arms overhead and enjoy some length, reaching one side, reaching the other side, and just allow your body to open up. All right, and then we'll bring our knees into our chest and rock a little bit, feeling that sensation change now in the back body as you just go from one side to the other, a little rocking. And then hang on to the knees in the circle, kind of roll your knees one way and roll your knees another. And then let's open up our knees away from the middle and bring them back in and just be very nice and kind. Feel some ease through your hip joints, any kind of movement that feels right to you. All right, and then right knee hugs in close. Stretch your left leg long and start to wake up your feet. Roll around in your ankles. Wiggle through your toes. Feel any movement that wants to come. So remember those pathways that we opened up in our feet yesterday. Let's see if we can remember them now. All right, and then cross your right leg over to the left and stretch open into a twist and breathe your body. A big inhale, full exhale. All right, and then come back around, bring that knee in. And let's put your right foot on the ground. Put your left, put your left foot on the ground, put your right foot on your left knee and come into a reverse pigeon. And let's have some movement within this. So I'm holding my foot and my knee and just kind of circling in my hip joint, kind of finding a little bit of that external rotation that lives in there. Just noticing with some mobility what's available today. And then release and put that foot down onto the ground, 2 feet on the ground for a moment. And just notice the difference between your two sides, having done a little bit of work differently from one side or the other. And then we'll hug our left knee in and stretch your right leg long on the ground and find an opportunity to move your feet again. See if you can open up your shins, your calves, your ankles, the soles of your feet, the tops of your feet, in between your toes. Try to get into any little nook and cranny you can. This having mobile, strong ankles and feet really matters for our capacity to stay in good stead with our gait and walking. So try to keep these places free and supple. Cross the left knee over to the right, stretch open through your chest. Breathe deeply. Notice the in breath, notice the out breath, that even balanced breath. And then bring that knee back in toward the chest. Put your right foot on the ground. Put your left foot on top of your right knee and find any variation of the reverse pigeon vibes that you'd like to do. And if it feels comfortable, mobilize that hip joint while you're doing this action. So you just have some, kind of warming up the hip joint to find a little more openness. All right, and then we'll relax and hold on to your knees and find your way into a happy baby pose. Grab your feet or behind your knees and just open up the back, open up the hips a little bit more deeply. Maybe a little rocking to and fro. Maybe even straightening one leg out and bending the other knee. So just kind of find what you're looking for here. And then stretch open to a big star on the ground. Let's roll our wrists, maybe open and close your fists, roll your ankles, wiggle your toes. Just know that internal mapping, that proprioceptive mapping with your fingers and toes kind of finding their way out there in space. Know where your edges are. Deep breath in. As you exhale, draw the knees into the chest. Let's do that one more time. Expanding open, spread your wings. Exhale, draw it in. And then we'll roll to our side and come up to our hands and our knees. All right, as you find all fours, let's start to move through some cat-cows, arching and rounding the spine, taking your time to move your vertebrae, maybe rippling one vertebrae at a time, maybe paying attention to the balance of movement of your spine. Do you have as much range in the arching of your back as you do in the rounding? Is the breath even as you do this? Where does it feel natural to inhale? Where does it feel natural to exhale? Really, the most important thing is that you're still breathing. Okay, so let's try hard not to hold our breath. And then start to invite movement in any way you want. Maybe you want to wag the tail, maybe you want to ripple through your spine, circles, sways, any movement, crown to tail. Try not to hold the breath no matter what you're doing. All right, and then curl the toes under, stretch back to a child's pose with your toes curled under, and just stretch open your feet. Go back as far as your body will allow. Take your time here. Just let your feet open up gently. Find your breath. Just kind of give to your feet whatever you can in this moment. And then come back up. Release your feet. Give the tops of your feet a little bit of a smack on the ground. And then we'll settle back to a normal child's pose and take your knees as close or far as you would like. Okay. Stretch your arms out in front of you and find that length. And then just to get into our upper body a little bit more, take your two blocks and stack them next to each other and put your elbows up on the blocks. And we'll stretch back toward a child's pose. And you can recurl your toes if you'd like. But stretch back, opening up your shoulders a little bit more. So thumbs toward your spine and lengthen the elbows toward your hips, stretching open your triceps. And then release the your elbows off the blocks. Just put your blocks off to the side, back to a child's. Walk the hands over to one side and stretch through your side body from hand to hip. For some of us, our hips like to be very low on the ground to do this. For some of us, it's more of a stretch if you lift off your heels a little bit more. So just kind of see what feels better. And then over to the other side and feel that reaching here. A breath in, a breath out. All right, and then come back onto all fours. Find your way to a twist, reaching the arm up. Exhale, drop that shoulder down, twisting to the side. Notice the in and out of the breath. Enjoy the spinal rotation. And then when you're ready, we'll lift that arm back up. Hand comes down onto the ground. And let's find our way to the other side. Arm up, maybe move your wrist around a little bit. And then drop that shoulder under. Twisting to this side. Breathing deeply. See what it feels like to open the breath evenly. A breath in, a breath out. And then we'll reach that arm back up in the air. Hand comes down onto the ground, lift to a dog pose. Take your time here, spreading your hands, spreading your feet, just like yesterday. Let's try to be aware of how we're moving our feet, warming up some of those important places. Maybe drop a heel down and bend that knee so you stretch the Achilles and the soleus well. And switching to the other side. So any kind of movement that feels right to you in this posture. And then come back down onto all fours. And let's practice a little bit of that four-way, or start with two-way, and then we'll move to four-way yielding. So first, just dropping some weight into the right hand and right knee, and then rebounding over to the other side, dropping weight into left hand, left knee. So remembering that unlocking the joints above, your elbows, your hips, your shoulders, gives weight. So remember the jumping we did yesterday where you have to yield before you can push and reach to the other side. So let's yield and then push and bear the weight over to the other side. Just going back and forth. Feel it in your legs too. Can you feel that transfer of weight from the ground into the hips? And then take one limb weight bearing at a time. So right hand to the right knee, to the left knee, to the left hand. So we're just letting that transfer of weight happen, absorbing some of that through our elbows, our shoulders, and our hips, that we're not locked out. And we're just noticing how our body can change its weight bearing. How's your breath? Go in the other direction now. right hand to left knee to right knee, to right hand to left knee, right knee. Nice, and try to, really feel into the yielding of this. I know it can feel like, what am I doing? I'm just shifting my weight. But there's a lot to that. And then when you're ready, let's take a moment, just stretch out your wrists, give them a little shake. We're going to come back onto all fours and find that bird dog. So right leg straight out behind you, left arm out in front of you. Start to integrate. Close your eyes and map your body from the inside. Notice all the ways that you are stabilizing. Maybe you feel your hip. Maybe you feel your glutes and your hamstring. Maybe you feel your core. Maybe you feel your back muscles. What are you feeling with your eyes closed? And then slowly bring your elbow and knee underneath you and see if you can pay attention to notice the moment when you touch or right before you touch, like being very aware. And then stretch that limb out. And then we'll do it one more time. So as you bring your elbow and knee toward each other, notice if you can map that without your eyes, that you know where you are in space. And then when you're ready, we'll switch sides. And then, of course, if you have a pet that's doing yoga with you, you can always just stop and pet your pet. Okay. Hello, Nina. Okay, so as you move to the other side, first just feel the stabilization of what you're doing. Can you feel your core? Can you feel your glutes? Can you feel your hip? Can you feel your shin on the ground? Can you feel your back muscles? Closing your eyes. And then start to do a couple rounds of that, bringing the elbow and knee underneath you to touch. And just see what it feels like to know where you are in space without your eyes. Just training your proprioception to tune into it, to turn it on, to let it grow. The more our proprioception is working all day long without our awareness, but the more we bring our awareness to it, the stronger that connection gets. After you've done a few, let's just rest in child's pose for a moment and just allow the surrender. So just as we were yielding our limbs down into the ground, see if you can just give yourself to the earth. Find your breath, let it travel through your body. And then when you're ready, we'll lift up into a dog pose. So feel that extension in your body. Breathing deeply. Maybe you want to pedal your feet a little bit here so that you can just find that opening and awakening in your hips and in your ankles, in your feet. Remembering how important our feet are for our capacity to balance. And then let's light up the light bulbs in our outer hips. Drag your feet apart from each other. Pull your feet like you want to tear the mat a little bit. Lighting up those strong outer hips. And then release that and walk your feet forward and come to Uttanasana, forward fold. Inhale for a halfway lift, extending through your spine, breathing deeply. And then exhale and relax to melt again. Release any tension from your neck. One more time, a halfway lift. Open through your spine, sit bones high. And then exhale and release to surrender again. Push through your feet, rising up, bringing the arms upward to the sky. And just slowly trace down through the center line of your body, Samastitihi. And while you're here standing with your eyes closed, see if you can sense the back of your body, the soles of your feet, the crown of your head, the way your lungs move when you breathe. Just pay attention to anything that's catching your awareness. Now release the hands down and let's practice a little bit of that yielding here. So imagine, you're in a precarious balancing situation. And you just need to root yourself. That feeling like the ground below you is there to support you, because it is. Unlock your knees. Yield and then push a little bit so that you feel that rebound through your spine. And just pay attention to your solidity, your fluidity and your solidity. Become like a tree. Mountain pose in and of itself is a beautiful posture that, we tend to kind of land here as a transition instead of just staying here for a while. So just notice what it feels like to just be standing in your own support and the support from the earth, that we're not leaning into one hip or crossing our arms in front of us or, anything that takes away from that self-supporting. Even breath. Inhale, arms up to the sky. And then exhale, floating forward. A halfway lift, expand your body. Exhale and release again. Step your left foot back. Let's come to a lunge. Right foot's in front. Finding those paths. Let's bend and straighten the front knee and move with the breath. Just enjoy opening up your hips a little bit, opening up your hamstrings. And then ground your legs, feel your roots. Inhale, rise up. Keep that back heel lifting off the ground if you can. Always put it down if you need. And as we find crescent lunge, let's close our eyes just like we did yesterday. Let's see if we can just tune in, ground yourself, feel your core, feel the strength of your legs. Notice the ease in your shoulders. Try not to grip. Fill and empty your breath and just let your nervous system get heightened. Wobbles are good. And then release the hands down, back foot forward, come to Uttanasana. A halfway lift, extending the spine, and then we'll step back with our right leg. So left foot is in front now. And we'll bend and straighten through the front leg. Just feeling that pathway of stretching open, getting some range of motion in your hips. Breathing deeply. All right, then ground yourself, feel your roots. Inhale, come on up. Bring the arms up to the sky. Feel that your feet are grounding. Yield what you can. Feel the support of your strength. So your glutes, your all of your leg muscles, really, your hips and your core are stabilizing you without restraining you. So there's still freedom to breathe. There's still a sense of suppleness and fluidity. And then gently close your eyes and just see what you can do here. You can take your left foot a little further out to the left to get just a little broader base if you feel like you need that. And then just experiment with what it feels like to use your nervous system instead of your eyes. Use your proprioception. And then release the hands down. Step back to a dog pose and feel that extension in your body. Enjoy how close to the ground you are with your head and your limbs. Lots of contact. It's a nice feeling of security and stability. Inhale, come forward into a plank. Hold yourself steady here. Find your breath. And then we'll lower ourselves all the way down to the ground, onto your belly. Take a deep breath in, cobra pose, open chest, feel the heart expand, release to come back down. If you'd like to take a different variation of a back bend, you do you. And release. Put your head on your hands for a moment and just rest prone on the ground and feel all those points of contact again. Breathing deeply. Notice the yielding. And then we'll come back up onto all fours. Just move your spine around a little bit. You can find your way up to stand through a dog pose or just climb up from all fours. However you like to transition, we'll all find our way back up. Okay. Once you're here, one more time, feel the ground, notice your feet. Maybe we can come up onto the toes and back onto the heels. So just very aware in the soles of our feet. Imagine that they are just as alive as your eyes as far as knowing your space. Now let's turn sideways on your mat and take some wide legs. Start with a deep squat. Okay. Lean low so that you're just opening up your inner thighs and maybe try a little bit of that yielding here. So can you drop your weight into one foot and then drop your weight into the other? Just noticing this. We're going to do this a little bit standing up, with upright posture, but first we'll just do it leaning forward. And then when you're ready, go ahead and stand. First, a standing star. Reach your limbs wide, just like we do on the ground. Map yourself in space here. Notice if you can pay attention to the whole back of you, the whole front of you, what's above, what's below. And then release your hands. Okay, come down. Don't go into your deepest, lowest goddess, but just kind of find a little bit of a self-sustained horse stance. And maybe pulse just a few times so that you have that feeling of just waking up your legs a little bit. And then let's start to transfer our weight from one side to the other. Just kind of turning on some of the muscles in our legs and our hips. All right, and then stand up. So hopefully, your legs are feeling warm. I'm just moving my blocks out of the way. So we've all done this before. Okay, we're going to start with our body in a squat, and we're going to start low. Okay, so leaning forward, and we're going to slide our hands over to one side or the other. And this is all about yield and then push so that you can yield into the other foot. Back and forth. And then we'll slowly rise up a little bit. Oftentimes we do this starting up at top. We're starting from below. And you can rest one elbow on your other knee if you'd like, or you can have your hands out in front of you, depending on how much energy you feel like producing and using. Think less about you. I want you to really feel into the weight bearing that's happening in your legs. Okay, now come up a little bit higher. Feel that transfer of weight from one leg to the other. And then the even weight bearing, dropping down to a goddess. Inhaling up. With this nice broad base of support underneath us, we have a really solid foundation. And we're not having to worry so much about balance right now, but really just feeling that sense of yielding and then pushing to reach and then yielding again. Pause in your goddess. Drop down again. Doesn't have to be your lowest stance. Open your chest. Drop down into your feet. Even weightedness. All right, and then we'll stand with our legs straight. Heel toe your feet in. And just come back to neutral for a moment and just notice what it feels like to have your legs closer. Ground into your feet again. Yield. Push a little bit and reach through your body. The breath and the yielding go hand in hand. Let's take Parsvakonasana, right foot forward. So come into your pose, elbow on your knee, stretch your arm overhead, and just feel all this width and space in your body. Can you feel that you're yielding through both feet? Instead of just pushing off your feet, yield and then feel the push. And notice the rebound. When the yield turns into the push, what happens in your body? Notice if you stretch a little bit more, if you extend a little bit more. Are you even through both feet? Can you close your eyes and not rely on them even for this posture? All right, and then we'll come on up and turn your feet the other way. Spread your feet so that you really feel that groundedness of the 4 points of your feet. Find your breath. Drop in, elbow on your knee, and stretch your arm overhead. Feel some extension here. Round yourself. Open up through the sides of your body. Move your tail toward your back foot. And yield, even weightedness. And then push and reach in your body. Try not to let the push overtake the yield. Try not to let the yield remove the push. So we're balancing the two forces. All right, and then come back up. Heel toe your feet back in. And then pause one more time here with our 2 feet on the ground. Find your breath. All right, so stand on your right foot, bring your left knee up, use your eyes, don't close your eyes yet. And I just want you, and you can keep your hands on your hips or wherever you want them to be, but just do some standing circles. Okay, so we're just like yesterday, we were doing it this way, where we were kind of going forward and back. Today, we're doing that mobility within standing with some circles out to the side. Notice your core. Notice your breathing. Notice both feet. Notice your standing hip. Now do your circles the other direction. All right, and then we'll release that foot down. And again, just notice the 2 feet. Big breath in. Full breath out. We'll stand on our left foot, bring the right knee up. You can put your hands anywhere you want them to have them. I feel comfortable with my hands on my hips, but you may want them a different place. Notice if you list off to the side, try to keep your torso upright. This hip, the standing hip, try and let it stick out. Hug it in, thigh bone back, unlock your knee, yield into the ground. And let's start some movement. Keep your eyes open. And no need to close your eyes just yet. Use your core and notice the dynamic nature of this. Only go as far into the circling as your body feels safe, so you don't want to contort your back or your SI joint. We're nice and stable. Our knees are not torquing. We're in a nice stable range. Okay. And then go the other way. Breathing deeply. All right. And then relax. Notice your hips, if that felt like a lot. Ground yourself. We've got one more, fluid range to do before we hold a static posture. Standing on the right leg one more time. We're going to pick up the left knee, and this time we're going to add some internal rotation and then external rotation. So this can get a little twisty in the spine, so be very mindful. It's okay, to let your body spiral, but you want to do it with a lot of support through your core. So don't let anything, check in with your joints as we do this. so that your ankle, your knee, your SI joint, your back is not taking any weird movement pattern. Okay, but feel free to add the arms into this if you want to. And you can go slow, you can go fast. There's no rule about what the arms should do. Maybe you want to do it like this, where one arm kind of follows what the leg is doing. We're just practicing dynamic movement within balance. All right. And then put that foot down. And these motions can be super small. They can be this, where we're just kind of grazing our foot a little bit off the ground. Okay, it doesn't have to be this big giant thing. It can be whatever you want it to be. The left hip has to stay nice and stable, so we're not letting that hip push forward or out or get soggy. We want a stable foundation. We want a yielding foot. As we do this, try to put all your things together. Are you breathing in and out? Are you stable in your core and in your hip? Is your foot expansive and feeling? Are you noticing you're yielding? Are you propriocepting? Oh my gosh, there's so many things to think about. And at the same time, don't think at all. Just let your body feel. Small or big movements. Maybe you want your arms to follow and just naturally do, like my arm wants to do a totally different thing on this side than it did on the other side. So just see what feels right to you. All right. Relax. Give your hips a little shake. Maybe you want to have a few jumps. And just let your body settle itself into Tadasana. And hopefully your hips are feeling really awake, alive. Our hips are required so much. When we balance, these gluteus medius and minimus have to work for us. When we're standing on one leg, often our hip flexors are having to do some jobs. So just notice if there's fatigue. Okay. All right, let's move through vinyasa. Inhale, arms up to the sky. Exhale, floating down. A halfway lift. Exhale and release. Step back to a dog pose, feeling that openness in your body. Yield through your head. Notice the head down and how good it feels. Hopefully it feels good. Inhale forward. Exhale lower. Inhale, cobra or any other back bend. Exhale, surrender. Inhale, back to a dog. Exhale, stay. Rip the mat apart a little bit. Light up those muscles one more time. Feel your feet. Find your breath. And then we'll walk all the way forward and come down to a squat. Okay, so as deep into the squat as your body lets you be. You can put your arms inside your knees if you'd like. Just let your body find its depth. Don't worry if your heels don't come down. Don't worry if your hips don't come all the way down. Just be where you are. And then see what it feels like to try to stand up without your arms. Of course, use your arms if you need. And then we'll find our way to standing. So we're going to do two classic yoga balancing poses. We'll start with a tree, and then we'll move to Ardha Chandrasana afterwards. Standing on your right leg, lift up your left foot. And remember, your foot can be anywhere along the path. It can be low, it can be high. Just don't have your heel at your inner knee. Anywhere but heel at inner knee. Okay? Find your breath. Find a stable tree pose. Hip in, knee unlocked. Feel your proprioception. Feel your breath. Feel your grounding, your yielding. And then maybe your arms come up to a different place. And then see, maybe you want to close your eyes. And just experiment. When your eyes close, notice your foot, notice your core. Notice how your body wants to work with balance, that you use all your body to try to balance. Keep breathing. It's hard with your eyes closed. And then relax and put that foot down. So for you, it might be hard with your eyes open. So just experiment with whatever channel of pathway that's getting you outside your comfort zone. So you want this pose to be hard. You don't want to just be like, yep, I'm here. I'm just going to stay right here in this pose. You want the pose to be dynamic so that your body is working hard to create balance. Standing on your left foot, bring your right foot to where it wants to be. First, maybe start with your hands together, hip in, knee unlocked, yield, push and reach through your spine. Find your breath. Notice where you are in space. And then if you want to move your arms, you can bring your arms up or out. Maybe your challenge of balance is just looking up, not closing your eyes, but changing. Remember yesterday we did the head turning? You can use your head position to challenge your balance. You can close your eyes to challenge your balance. Whatever you're doing, do something that challenges you beyond your normal feeling in this pose. So you're wobbly, like I'm all over the place, trying to hold myself up. Use your core, use that hip, use your foot, ground, send your energy down. All right, and then when you feel ready, place that foot down onto the ground. And whenever you touch down with 2 feet, thank you, thank you, thank you. I love you, I love you, I love you. There's all this gratitude for our sense of grounding. So maybe you need a little shake with your legs if anything's achy or a little weird feeling. But then or maybe it just needs to bounce or jump or shake. Once you get settled again, experience that quality of grounding. So no matter what comes at you, whether you get knocked off kilter physically, emotionally, mentally, spiritually, if something kind of takes you off balance, can you close your eyes, bring yourself into your breath, drop your center, and feel your yielding into the earth. Feel the support. Even balanced breath. No matter what comes at you, we can find this. This is always available. This is always available. The feeling of connection to the earth, the grounding that you can feel, the access to your breath, it's always available. All right, let's open our eyes and grab your block. Your hips are nice and awake so that this should be a nice alive feeling in your pose. You can start just from standing. I don't have a lot of space here, so I'm starting from a narrowed position. You can start from Parsvakonasana if you'd like. From here, we're going to stand up on our right foot, take the block underneath your right hand, Ardha Chandrasana. Make sure your foot's pointing straight, and then start to invite the openness in your body. Core is engaged, hips are engaged, feet are active. Open yourself up. Try to stack your hips, stack your shoulders from your ribs. Unlock your standing knee and yield into the ground. And then find that push off the ground and feel the extension in your body as you push. Is your breath even? What's your proprioception feeling like? Even though we're not looking at your foot, feel your foot in the air. Feel your foot on the ground. Maybe close your eyes. Can you feel both stability and fluidity? All right, and then we'll come out of the posture. Okay. Moving our way to the other side. And your practice may feel like, balance poses. But even if they're uncomfortable, that's kind of the point, is to get comfortable in the uncomfortable. If we can push ourselves outside of our comfort zone a little bit and work with our balance, we keep expanding instead of contracting. As we lose our sense of security in our balance, our life just starts to slowly contract. We do less and less and less. And not only physically do we do less and less, but then suddenly all the adventurous, courageous things that we are attempting to do emotionally, mentally, just putting ourselves out there in the world, we start to contract and shrink. So let's let these postures teach us more than just standing on our feet, but how to be expansive, how to be courageous, how to step outside your comfort zone. Let's find the other side. Coming into Ardha Chandrasana, the foot is pointing forward. We're stacking. Try not to arch your low back. See if you can puff into the kidneys, lengthen your tail toward your foot in the air, and just find where you are. Be uncomfortable and be okay with that. Keep breathing. Yield and push and reach. Find your breath. Try not to get stuck somewhere, but let your body feel fluid. Maybe challenge yourself by closing your eyes. Or changing the position of your head. Lots of ways to test your balance, not test your balance, but challenge your balance. Lots of core, lots of hips. Feel your feet. And then we'll come out of that posture and find your feet again. Ground yourself. Notice if your breath got away from you. Open your heart. Let's take a deep breath in, stretching the arms up. Exhale, loading forward. Let your back open up. Come to your last dog pose. Maybe feet are wider, maybe not. And then we'll find our way to child's pose. Settle your hips back and enjoy the rest. And let's find our way to our back. Bring your knees into your chest. Or maybe a little rocking again. Perhaps a reverse pigeon pose. Right foot on left knee. And just let those hips that work so hard for you today, let them relax. Have you identified any area of your life where you have contracted? Is there anything that you've kind of said, I can't do that, I won't do that, I'm afraid of doing that? And of course, we trust in our boundaries. If there's something we can't do because it will hurt us, then of course we gracefully let go. But a lot of times, let's switch sides. These ways of contracting happen almost without us knowing it. It's kind of secret. They're in these little sneaky places where suddenly we're not getting on a bicycle, or suddenly we're not going to some unknown place. Are you shrinking in any aspect of your life that you would like to stay expansive in? See if you can let go of what needs to be let go of, but see if you can keep expanding in the places where you don't have to, for whatever reason. If there's a physical challenge or something like that, then of course your boundary might be getting different. But if it's a mental thing, let's see if we can stay expansive. All right. Find your Shavasana. If there's anything, actually, let's put our feet on the ground and rub your cicada wings. So drop one knee, slide it down the inner shin of the other leg, just a little back and forth, just get a little internal rotation. If you want to hang out there in a twist, you can drop the knee down and put your foot on the outside of your knee for a moment. So just kind of find a little release and internal rotation as well. And then when you feel ready, if there's anything else your body's calling for you to do, you do it. Okay, so try to follow what the needs are, and then bring yourself into Shavasana as you feel ready for it. Let's be so grateful for our neuroplasticity, that our brains and our nervous system continue to grow throughout our whole life. We can expand, we can grow. Melt into the floor. Feel that joy of yielding and breathing. When you feel ready, begin to deepen your breathing again. Maybe wiggle through your toes and roll your ankles and wake up your feet for sensing. Do the same with your hands. Maybe turn your head from side to side. You'll find a big stretch. Rolling to your side. When you're ready, take your time. Come to a comfortable seat. Once again, yield your body. Feel the support below you, above you, all around you. Breathe in the support of prana. Open your heart. Bring your hands toward your heart, and let's offer our energy outward. Even this is a form of expansion and growing. Just bringing our heart tendrils out to the world and sharing as a way of resisting that contraction that can sometimes happen. Let's expand and bring our energy outward. Namaste. Thank you, everyone.